Flip phones, they're normally quite expensive with their foldable OLED or AMOLED screens, but Nubia is here to change that. They have an affordable flip phone that is called the Nubia Flip 5G. It's powered by the Snapdragon 7 Gen 1. It has 8GB of RAM, 256GB of storage, and when you open it up, you're then presented with a 6.9-inch 120Hz OLED screen. The outer screen that you can use to take selfies with the cameras, the rear cameras, that's 1.43 inches, and it's also an OLED, and it's running Android 13 and their iOS 13. So in this video, I'm going to cover the design, the build quality, and exactly what to expect out of the Nubia Flip 5G. So what is included here with our Nubia Flip 5G? Well, we get a case. It's made up of two halves there because of the foldable phone. There's a raised lip for that camera module, 33-watt charger, Type-C to Type-C cable, quick start guide, and SIM tray tool. Now, one of the first things you notice is that we do have this rather large rear screen on it. So when you close it, you can tap and use this screen here. So right now, that's just displaying the time. So this screen here is 1.43 inches. The resolution's 466 by 466. It is another OLED screen. And this is where you can launch, for example, things like the camera. Now, I do need to unlock it first with the side fingerprint reader. And there we go, unlocked, and now looks a lot brighter. So here I can see the time, battery life, and notifications and things. I can even decide to go along and launch the camera there. And you can go through the different modes. So it's photo mode, video mode. And this is how you can take a much better portrait photo with the 50 megapixel camera here. That's just a 2 megapixel camera. And really, I would have liked to have seen a ultra wide, at least, I think would have been great here, but I guess they had to cut a few corners to keep the price down for a flip style phone with that more expensive, of course, foldable screen there that it does have, flexible screen, foldable screen. So you can see other things like the weather, music, all sorts of things, calendar, and you can run them all here from the rear screen without having to open the phone. The best part for me is you can see the callers come through, notifications, all that, without having to open it up here. So we have our Type-C port that does support 33 watts fast charging. Now it is just USB 2 speeds. There is no video out with that. Loudspeaker here, you can see the two microphones, antenna lines. When folded up, it is basically like a phone that was cut in half, but we have the hinge here, the spine with Nubia branding there on the back. This is our capacitive always on fingerprint reader power button, volume up and down, also made out of metal. So the build quality is good, feels good in hand, and the weight's okay, 214 grams. Now that SIM tray, which is located, you'll see here on the side, this does take 2 nano SIM. So no micro SD card support. I mean, that's been gone with most phones for, well, a long time now. And then when you do open this up, this, of course, presents us with our foldable screen here, which is 6.9 inches. Now, it may look a little bit longer than a lot of other phones, especially when you're holding it and using it. That's because of the bezel at the top and the bottom. It's a little bit bigger than normal because of the foldable style. Raised lip here, 16 megapixel camera, and overall, very good. When you got it open, you can't really see the crease. However, at an angle, you can see it now a little bit. I'll just turn that screen off and reflect the light on it. You can see, yeah, it's quite noticeable. Running your finger over it, I do feel that. So always on display, present on both the inner and outer. Fingerprint reader has been okay. I wouldn't say it's the best for side fingerprint readers, capacitive ones. Sometimes it hasn't detected my finger, and they're normally really, really good. Maybe just some firmware updates would help to improve that. So this screen has a resolution of 1188 by 2790. So it's a 21 by 9 aspect ratio. It's normal, 439 ppi. This screen can be made out in direct sunlight, no problems, even though the brightness measured is just over 500 nits that I've measured. It seems to fare really well in direct sunlight because it lacks the glass over the front of it. The rear display too as well, you can still make that out in direct sunlight. And what about the thickness of it? So when it's folded, it's 15.5 millimeters unfolded, measuring the side of it here, not including the camera module, that is 7.3. So not bad. I mean, when you do fold it up, yeah, it's a little bit chunky, but then it's not so long, so you can easily fit this in a purse or in your pocket, making it a lot more compact. That's the whole idea of this. Now, the phone does run what is called My OS, and no, I didn't say iOS, even though it almost sounds like it. Very similar. It is based on Android 13, so not Android 14. There's just a couple other things I wanted to show you here with the display. So we've got pulse width modulation, which is over 2000. This is 2160 Hertz. I don't see any banding, flicker. Very good with the display. Now, the refresh rate, I have overridden that, and you can put it onto auto if you wanted to, but they do offer 90. Really good. So thumbs up there, Nubia, for including that. Most brands do not, and now and then I do see it. And you've got your other options there. So for cutout display, you can adjust the timeout, all that sort of standard kind of stuff. But what we want to see is, of course, the colors, and that is under here. So you can adjust all that, your white balance and whatnot. All up, it is a very nice screen. I do like it because of the clarity of it, the contrast you do get, being OLED, being flexible too, and without the glass over the front, it looks really nice. And I'm probably not doing it justice right now, showing it as I am, but it is really nice. I think most people are going to be very pleased with the inner screen here. The Snapdragon 7 Gen 1 is the chipset that is powering this, so it's an octa-core, and although it's mid-range, as you see later with the scores when it comes to synthetic benchmarks, performance with the UI is very good. It's not bad, it's well optimized, I just wish it was running Android 14 and not Android 13. So it's fast, it's fluid, and I do not experience any stutters or lags. I've forced it to 120 Hz, so it's running at 120 frames per second, which is great. Animations all look very quick and good, no problems there. And then included bloatware. Nubia did put a bit on here. We have, you can see a couple of pre-installed apps. There is TikTok, Facebook. So in about 3 minutes, I cleaned all that up, removed it. So they didn't go overboard with the bloat like some brands, but there are a couple of categories there that it did pop up and asking me to install some apps. But luckily, you can remove those too, no problem. So battery life here with my fixed looping test here with PC Mark, it went for 8 hours and 13 minutes. Not a bad score at all, I think, to get into that, considering that the battery capacity is only 4,310 milliamp hours. Real world use, so my day kind of use going through this using the camera a little bit more, around about 6 hours or so that I managed to squeeze out of it, which is moderate. It's not amazing battery life. You will definitely be charging every day. It will not go for 2 days. So charge time is, however, really good. Only 35 minutes to go from 14% to 100. I find that to be more than acceptable. The score here does confirm that we have a mid-range chip, the Snapdragon 7 Gen 1. It performs okay. It feels a little bit like a Snapdragon, well, the old Snapdragon 860 or 855, somewhere around there, 865 in terms of performance. Very similar. Doesn't really show any lag in the UI, and I'll get onto gaming performance soon. The internal storage, I've got 256 gigabytes. That's what you get with it. And those speeds are moderate. They're all right. This is around about UFS 2.2 speeds, I believe. And they are all right. So Widevine level 1, sir, means that Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, yes, is in full HD. And finally, Camera 2 API support is there at level 3 maximum if you want to try open camera and Gcam ports. Over to camera. So the inner camera, this is 16 megapixels only, can only shoot 1080p. However, because it is a flip phone, can flip it over and use that rear round screen as your viewfinder and use that 50 megapixel rear camera for vlog footage like I'm doing right now. 4K 30, 4K 60 is the highest you can shoot with the Nubia Flip 5G here. And you see that the quality is alright, average. I think this is the downside to this phone really, is the cameras. Electronic image stabilization doesn't seem to be the best that I have used. We've got digital zoom, but we have no ultra wide camera we can swap over to. It's just that 2 megapixel camera used for depth, so it's a real shame. We could have done with an ultra wide or a 3 times or 2 times optical camera. Then those cameras. So selfies not looking amazing. This one's passable. Rear portrait shots of my daughter, not amazing. Just a bit of a letdown here, really. And if she's moving about a little bit, it will easily blur. So you do need subjects that are very still. Bright flowers, bad. It's just clip this. The reds of the hibiscus are overdone. This shot isn't too bad. The white balance has a little bit of a blue tint to it. And the white balance here is off. there's quite a bit of sharpening. It's just not that good. And 2x digital shots, again, not good at all. Night shots, this one is passable, but you can see now this night shot in the distance, quite a pixelated mess and really doesn't capture a lot. So the camera's definitely falling well behind. Audio is not bad out of our Nubia Flip 5G. So it's from the bottom loudspeaker, out of the earpiece. Haptics as well, just to mention, they're all right. I mean, it's a very small little pulse. It's nothing really strong. I would not rate it as the best haptics. Cool quality, another one. Good, no problems. Haven't any issues with it at all. It sounds just like a flagship phone, really. So the sample I'll play you now, it's some non-copyright songs here. I will play this at 100% volume, just so you can hear what the speakers do sound like. Well, they've got good volume to them, and the bass, well, it's very small. What can you expect really out of little tiny phone speakers? All up, rate the speaker here is about a 7.5 out of 10. Gaming-wise, the Snapdragon 7 Gen 1 is just fine. It feels something like a Snapdragon 865 or 870, so the performance is good. Even Genshin Impact here, having the settings at the absolute maximum, all playable. Some areas in some places of the map, you'll see a little bit of lag when it loads and caches things in, but it's doing pretty well. Now, thermals, the phone does get a little warm, but it's nothing drastic. Nothing that alarms me. I don't have to break out my thermal probe. It's just getting around the mid 40s, which is normal. Heats up around this area here where our chipset is. So the phone's build quality is good. The frame is solid. The hinge does feel okay, although sometimes I hear a little bit of a noise when I open it, like a old door hinge kind of sound, but apparently that's normal. There seems to be a little bit of friction with the part in there. The screen, the inner screen, of course, the foldable one is very nice, okay? It's bright, it's very clear, it's responsive to touch, 120 Hertz is great. Side fingerprint reader, occasionally I have issues with it. I wouldn't call it a 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 times working capacitive side fingerprint reader. It's about an 8 out of 10. So occasionally there's that 20% chance that it might not just work on you, even though I've added the same thumb that I use now twice to it. And is it going to work for me? Yeah, it worked on the second attempt. That was probably my fault because I'm not exactly putting my thumb in the best position here as I'm talking to the camera, but normally it is okay. So battery life, okay as well. It is a phone that has mediocre performance with a mid-range chipset. We kind of expect that out of a Snapdragon 7 Gen 1. And for the price point, it's good. It fits in the market there, but there is one area I think for this style of phone that people are going to be a little bit disappointed in, and that is, yes, you guessed it, the cameras. The cameras, I feel that Nubia should have done a little bit more with this. I think gone with an ultra wide, perhaps a better main sensor, or even a 2x optical camera, or 3x if they could have, but I guess that exceeded their budget with what they wanted to do with this particular phone. Apart from that, it's not a bad phone at all here, the Nubia Flip 5G. Thanks a lot for watching my review.